Hello, hello. Okay, so hi everyone. Uh, this is regarding Python data types. So this is going to be a short video. I think it would be around 2 to 5 minutes. So I've just started to learn Python now. So I'm just going into really basic stuff, which is first particularly what are data types and what are variables and how are the operators used and how is the looping structure in Python. So initially, I'm just starting up with the data types, and this is just randomly kept. And first, I'm going into what are tuples. What are tuples in Python? So we have tuples. So what is tuple basically? So in simple language, you can say it is some kind of collection of items, and more technical definition you have it here, which is tuple is a fixed length immutable sequence of Python objects. Now we can break the definition in small chunks, and we can actually figure out what exactly it is. So we'll start out with what is immutable. Okay, so for example, suppose. So now, whenever you have a tuple, whenever you use a tuple, its declaration is something which I'm going to tell you now. How you declare it, and how you use it further. So suppose I give a name tuple start, just a random name, and if you want a tuple, you have to necessarily use this two brackets if you have multiple values which you are using, because it gives you great readability for the other programmer who is going to refer the program, and it is very helpful for the other programmer. So if you jump down now, I've declared the tuple. This is how you declare a tuple, and these values are stored in a variable, that is tup underscore start. So let me tell you, what if you have to declare a tuple which has only one variable. So let's do that. One value, basically tuple start one. So this this is not the correct way to declare a tuple, because it is not a tuple. It will consider this as an integer, and I'm just writing out comment side to the particular line, because it's very good practice. If in case you follow it, it's very good. You might have came across some situations when your fellow programmer is trying to figure out what you have written, but this is a good practice to actually write in comments on, not basically on every line, but you can write it out whenever it is necessary, because it makes the code more readable and helps the for the programmer who is going to use it. So this is a tuple. Okay, so I have two things here. One is a tuple and one is not a tuple. One is an integer. So how to figure out a particular variable is a tuple? To check that, we have a particular function in uh, we have a particular function in Python which gives you the type of the variable. That is what if I refer tube start. Okay, now how to get what it is. So I can just print out the entire thing. I'll just print out what it is. You can actually see how I'm literally typing everything out, because I'm just new to this. I'm starting, so I'm learning on the way. So let's run this program. So yeah, so I have actually installed Python in my machine, so that's why I'm able to run it, and I'll get the particular output. You can say basically the output in my terminal window, which is opening below. So once I run this, so here it is, you're getting two types here. First one is a tuple and second one is a int. So why is the second one not tuple and first one tuple? So what whenever you're trying to declare a tuple with only one okay, let me just clear this. Okay, whenever you're trying to declare a tuple with only one value inside it, you can do it via this method. You can just leave a comma here, and it will actually be a tuple. It will actually be a tuple, because if you actually try to make it if you try this here, it is going to assume that whatever the value is inside this is the variable, and the comma signifies the comma, and the curly brace, not curly, the round braces signify that it is a tuple. So that's it. Now we can figure out that. So let me just shift it above, so we can have all the three things in one line. So this final one is a tuple with only one value, and let's just run this. Okay, now we got it. The first one is tuple, the second one is int, and the third one is tuple with one value. That is tuple. Now, so let's go back here. So first is immutable. Immutable. So we just got through the basic definition of how to declare a tuple, and now we'll get on to the first significant point, which is here, which is immutable. So okay, so you might be familiar. I don't know if you're familiar or not with the collections in Python. But suppose you have a collection of cards, and each card is represented by a number. You can give it a unique number, you can repeat the number, that's fine. I'll say this is my collection of cards with each value representing the card. So this is a collection of cards. Now what if I want to access the first card? I want to access the first card, and I want to change it to some value, which is, I want to change the value of the first card. I want 9 to represent the first card. So how am I going to do this? So suppose you try this general approach to actually access any specific value in a collection, is via going through the indexes of it. That is zeroth element of a particular what can you say, tuple. Zeroth element of a particular tuple you can get by using this. So what if I try to change it and make it 9? I want to make it 9, and okay, I just did this. So this is basically very simple. You can just use zeroth as the index, and you can just change the value to 9. And now let's try to run it and see if this works. Oh, we got an error. So this is an exception. So this is an exception which says object does not support item assignment. I'm not able to copy this, anyways. Object does not support item assignment. So assignment. Oh, I forgot one thing here. Got few things here basically. So this is okay. Yeah. So object does not support object assignment. This does not support object assignment. Sorry, or does not support object assignment. So now, so what is immutable? Immutable is something like Suppose I want to change the length. I want to change the length of this particular tuple. I want to increase some cards. I want to add some cards in this particular tuple. So will I be able to do that? No, I won't be able to add cards in this particular collection of cards. But there's one more option which you can use, which is you can have different sets of cards, and you can add those three different sets of cards. That is, you can add three tuples together to represent a one tuple, but you can't actually add a particular element, that is add a particular card, one separate card, to this already present collection of tuple. So here, what is immutable? What is immutable? Immutable, immutable tuple. So the best way to actually get anything is, you can just Google it out, or even use whatever browser you are using, whatever search engine you are using. Immutable meaning, what is immutable? Unchanging over time, unable to change. So this is what immutable means. So that is, you can't change the particular tuple once it's declared. You can only declare the tuple once and have the elements in line, and you can't change the length of the tuple also, and you can't actually change the values of the tuple inside it. So that is immutable. So first thing which we got here is what immutable. And fixed length also is the same, that is, it has fixed length, and you can't actually change the length of the tuple. And sequential is also one thing which I have already called upon here. That is zeroth element. You are getting the zeroth element of a tuple. That is, zeroth element means you have some sequence which you are referring to access the elements. So this is sequential. You are giving sequential references to particular every element of the tuple. Then you have non-editable. That is equal to immutable. That is, you can't edit it further. That is, you can't edit each element of a tuple further, and also can't edit or add more elements in a tuple. Assignment does not work after being declared once. That is also clear here. That is, once you have declared this, you can't add one more element to this and make it a new. You can have a new one by adding one more element to that, but you can't add a element to this particular tuple with this name. Then we have tuple constructor. Okay, fine, this is interesting, this is a good one. So tuple constructor. Okay, so suppose I declare a new tuple, tube. I give it a name tube, but I want this tuple to be derived from some other data type. I want to change some data type to this, not change exactly, but have the same values of from some other data type to this data type. That is, suppose you have a list of some, you can say, cars. I have cars, and these cars are okay. These cars are, you can have BMW, you can have Mercedes. Bear with the spelling. You can have can have Swift, Suzuki, that is Maruti Suzuki, and you can have Nano. I'll just have this much only. So here I have a particular list which has four values inside it. Now what I want is, I want a tuple of this. I just want to restrict the number of cars which I have. I don't want to add more cars to this, or neither do I want to change the cars. So what I'll do is, I'll have tuple underscore of car, and I'll use the tuple constructor. You have to just pass the list name or any other variable which you want to convert into a tuple, and it will actually return you a tuple. It will restrict the number of additions to your particular collection and also the alterations to a particular collection. In cars, which is a list, you can have multiple manipulations and you can edit out the zeroth element, first element, second element, and the third element, but you can't edit out the same elements in a tuple. That is tup underscore car. You can't actually edit it, it is immutable. So let's try this if this works. Tube of cars, not cars, it is car, tube of car, and just semicolon. Semicolon is not required here, but I have a background from C sharp, so actually semicolon, I'm used to using semicolons, so that's why I'm using it, and it is very, oh sorry, we didn't remove this, so I'll just pause this and just remove this, just comment out this. This is of no use because it was just to demonstrate that it cannot be edited. Now let's just run this. So once I run this, what I get is I get a particular tuple made from a list, got from a list. So this is the use of tuple constructor. You can have the basic definition of tuple constructor from python.org site. They have a good definition for this method. They'll give a brief description about this and what are the data types which you can pass to this and what are the particular elements which you can alter via this. So now we'll get on to length. What is length? What is length? If you, I don't know whether you're familiar or not, but length of any particular data type or a variable will give you the length of that particular data type or variable. That is, suppose I have length of these two things. So now I run this. So here I'll get 4, here I'll get 4 again. I have to get, I'll get 4 again. Oh, I didn't print it. So I have to print the length of cars. I'll just copy this, cut this, copy this. So again cut this, just give a semicolon here, print length of cars. Again I'll do this and just close it out. Okay, so I've just closed it, and now if I run this, so I'll get the exact length of this. Is very useful because whenever you're trying to loop through or actually want to access this tuple and just to identify whether how big is it is, suppose you're using an external API and someone is actually sending you tuples from the API, not JSON data. I'm not familiar if it is possible, but suppose you're getting the tuple from an external source, for example, and you want to actually loop through it. There are few multiple ways you can loop through it, but if you want to actually get a count of how many elements are inside the tuple, you can do that via this method. That is length, where it is already present in Python's predefined methods. So you can do that. So this is length. You got the length. Now I've covered this, and this. Now coming to the very interesting part, actually you can have tuple inside tuple also, along with different other data types inside it. Suppose I am declaring tup underscore test. Here also you can figure out that I'm not that good with variable declaration because I'm just starting. I'm just about to start with the particular Python experience, so that's why I'm not familiar with the how exactly you are supposed to declare the variables. But if this works, that this is fine. Just to test out, I'm using it. So what if I have this 1 comma 3 comma 4 comma 4, and after this I have this 1 comma 2. Then after that I have 1 comma 2 comma h comma one more thing, that is none. You can even have none inside this, and you can even have bool inside this. Okay, so this is to actually show you that you can have any of these data types inside tuple as an element inside tuple. So what if I print this particular tube test? So you have tube underscore test, and I print this out. So what it signifies is that first one you have blank. I've left it blank, so I have to let's try what happens when you leave it blank. Okay, it gives you blank. That is, it considers it as an empty string. That is str, empty str. So even if I change this to 0 op23 or even ASD something, any random value, and run this, it will work and it will show you the particular values. So my point here is you can have multiple data types inside as an element inside this tuple. So that's it. I think this is enough. This is enough for the particular section. Furthermore, you can read and just suggest me what I am missing in this complete thing, so I can actually learn more. And you can actually tell me that in the comment box and help me out on this tuple, and what are differences in Python 2 and Python 3 tuple, whether in Python 2 we had tuple or whether in Python 3 we have some modified version of tuple. So that I'm not familiar with, but I'm referring Python 3 now, because it is the new and it is the latest version, I think. So I'm referring that. So this is it on tuple. So again, a recap. So you can say what is a tuple. Tuple is something which is a collection, and that collection is not editable. That is, you can't actually edit its individual elements or even its size anyhow after once it's declared in your program. So that's the basic definition of tuple in normal language. It is a collection of non-editable, non-size changeable data type. That's it. Thank. And one more thing. I'm open to improvements, and any suggestions hereafter, since I'm I'm just starting with Python. Thanks.